Texans Nation, good morning. Look, there are at least 7 players on the Texans roster right now who probably won't be on the team when Week 1 starts. And the most interesting thing is that some of these names aren't obvious. In fact, there are players here that many people still think are safe, completely safe. Because yes, everyone knows that cuts will happen at this stage. That's normal in the NFL. Every team cuts players before the season starts. But what's happening with the Texans now isn't just roster adjustment. It seems more like a change of direction in certain positions that could catch many people by surprise. And that matters a lot, because these decisions show exactly how DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio are viewing this team before the season really begins. Each cut is a message. Each release is a choice about the future of this franchise. So today, I'm going to go through 7 players who are at serious risk of being off the roster in Week 1. 7 different stories, 7 situations you need to know, and some of these names will surprise you. But stick with me, because before I reveal the names, you need to understand the context of what's happening with this roster. Only then will you be able to see why these decisions make sense within the Texans' bigger plan for 2026. Let's understand the scenario first. The Houston Texans entered this stage of the offseason with almost 70 players on their roster. Before Week 1, that number needs to drop to 53. That's almost 20 cuts that need to happen before September. And with the April 23rd draft approaching, that number will increase even more. Each draft pick brings a new player to training camp, and each new player pushes someone who was already there a little closer to the exit door. Houston has done a tremendous job this offseason. Over $90 million in signings, important contract renewals, smart trades. But all this movement has created an abundance problem in several positions, and now the coaching staff needs to make difficult choices that will define who is part of the future of this team. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. We cover every detail of the Texans every day. Let's go. Let's look at the 7 players who are at serious risk of being left off the roster in Week 1. Let's start with the first one. And this one is more unexpected than it seems. Jawhar Jordan, running back, 7th round pick in the 2024 draft. And this case is especially interesting because Jordan did something memorable last season that many people still remember. In Week 15 against the Arizona Cardinals, he became the first Texans player of the season to surpass 100 rushing yards in a single game. 118 yards, 17 rushing attempts, a performance that will be remembered. But memory doesn't guarantee a spot on the 53-man roster. David Montgomery arrived as the starting running back. Woody Marks is in his 2nd year, and the Texans will almost certainly select another running back in the April draft. In a group that's already full, Jordan will probably end up on the practice squad. In my opinion, I think Jordan has real talent, but the timing isn't on his side. I hope he can at least make it onto the practice squad, because what he did against the Cardinals showed that he belongs in the NFL. Second name, Justin Watson, wide receiver, and this case is purely a logistical problem. Watson is a player valued by the coaching staff. That's not in question. But the Texans receiving corps already has Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, and Tank Dell, with practically guaranteed spots. That's 5 names for 5 spots. Watson would be the 6th or 7th receiver, and in that position, spots are limited. Unless some move changes this scenario before September, Watson could be released due to numbers, not talent. Third name, Brevin Jordan, tight end. And this story is sad because it involves a lot of bad luck and a lot of hard work at the same time. Jordan was chosen in the 5th round of the 2021 draft. 4 years later, he's still struggling to establish himself on the roster. And the worst part is that his last season was interrupted by a serious knee injury during training camp, before even an official game. Now he's recovering from that injury, while Houston has Dalton Schultz as the starter, Foster Moreau coming in from outside, and the real possibility of the team selecting another tight end in the draft. The position is crowded, and Jordan will need an extraordinary preseason to change this reality. I'm rooting for him. His story demands respect, but the situation is difficult. Fourth name, Jarrett Kingston, offensive tackle. Kingston arrived in Houston midway through the 2025 season from the Carolina Panthers. It was an emergency addition that solved a specific problem. But now the Texans' tackling roster is completely different. Ariante Ursary as left tackle, Braden Smith coming in for the right tackle, Trent Brown as the experienced backup, Blake Fisher also in contention. With 32 plays last season, Kingston doesn't have a strong enough argument to surpass these names. Training camp will be his time to change that narrative, but the road is steep. Fifth name, Naquan Jones, defensive tackle. Jones had his contract renewed at the beginning of the offseason, which seems like good news. But 70 defensive snaps in 8 games last season is a very small sample size to guarantee a spot on a competitive roster. With Sheldon Rankins as the starter, and the Texans almost certainly selecting a defensive tackle in the April draft, Jones will need to excel in training camp to prove he deserves one of the few available spots in the interior rotation. In my opinion, I think Jones has a real chance if he plays well in the preseason, but the margin for error is small. 6th name, Elijah Huzzie, cornerback. Huzzie made a beautiful interception against the Las Vegas Raiders in one of the 2 games he played in his rookie year, a play that caught attention, but 2 games is a very small sample, and the Texans' cornerback group is one of the most competitive in the NFL. Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter are the stars. There are solid backups behind them, and other players are also vying for a spot. In a position so full of talent, Huzzie will need much more than an interception to secure his place. The practice squad may be the most realistic destination for now. And we come to the 7th name, Kayvon Merriweather, safety, and this case perfectly summarizes the abundance problem the Texans created this offseason. Merriweather was added at the last minute before Week 18 of last season to reinforce the safety group. He did his job at that time. But now Reed Blankenship has arrived with a 3-year, $24 million contract. Kalen Bullock is in the Pro Bowl. MJ Stewart renewed his contract. Jalen Reed is also on the roster. That's 4 safeties practically guaranteed. And with the draft potentially bringing in another name for the position, there's simply no room for Merriweather on the 53-man roster. Looking at all 7 players together, what you see is a team that has improved so much this offseason that it has created an abundance problem at several positions simultaneously. Too many running backs, too many receivers, too many tight ends, too many tackles, too many safeties, cornerbacks competing for limited spots. And that's a good problem to have. It means the overall level of the roster has risen. It means players who would be starters on other teams are competing for backup spots on the Texans. It means DeMeco Ryans will have quality options across the entire roster when the season begins. But for the 7 players on this list, it means time is running out. The draft is on April 23rd. Training camp starts in the summer. And every decision Nick Caserio makes between now and September will shape the team that takes the field in Week 1. Texans Nation, this is the cruel yet exciting reality of a well-executed off-season. When the team improves significantly, someone who deserved a chance ends up being left out. Not for lack of talent, but for excessive competition. Of the 7 names we analyzed today, which one do you think has the best chance of surprising everyone and securing a spot on the 53 roster? Jawhar Jordan, who made that memorable run against Arizona? Brevin Jordan, who battled injuries for years? Or someone else on the list? And is there anyone here you think should stay but probably won't? Leave your comments below. I want to read every response. Texans Nation always has the most insightful opinion on this team. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, share with that Texans fan friend who needs to know about these moves before the draft arrives. Until the next video.